look like I caught some sun.
Here we go. Yeah. All right. There we go. Oh, look, it's beer o'clock. I couldn't agree more, sir.
Picard.
Bueller! Guessing Rhett went to Jeff's old studio? No, Rhett didn't go to Jeff's old studio. Craft Computing must be on a beer run.
I was on time, too.
You were on time. Yep, I said I was just waiting on Rhett. I did call you out in the Discord.
Of course.
So. Welcome to Talking Heads, everyone. Episode 90. I know I forgot to update it in the thing. But yeah, we're episode 90 tonight. Your once weekly live show for the latest in beer and tech news. I'm Jeff.
I'm Rhett.
From a very impromptu location. We are in the living room of my in-laws' place where I'm temporarily streaming from. So, improv audio, improv lighting. The lighting in this room is terrible, but we somehow got it worked out. Welcome to the show. Welcome to the new...
Thank you.
The new shindig.
When you walked me in here with all the lights and the black leather couch, I thought you might...
We were going a different direction.
Different direction with the show tonight.
Yeah, no. Well, that's the after-hour show. All right. Hopefully we got a good show for you tonight. We got some leaked benchmarks from some Generation 3 Threadripper 16 core that appear on UserBenchmarks. We've got UserBenchmarks calling everyone else a shill because we don't like the way that they changed their benchmarks. And something about Star Trek. Some Star Trek thing was in the news tonight. So
What is Star Trek?
It's kind of like Star Wars. It came just before Star Wars, and I guess it was this copycat TV show that was never any good. So lame, yeah. So we'll talk about that later on in the show. Anyway, on to the most important news for the night. What are we drinking tonight?
Well, you spoiled me, Jeff. We got some Ninkasi Dawn of the Red,
Heck yes.
red IPA, which personally I love Dawn of the Red.
Yes, John and I talked about this one last week. I have had this on the show a couple of times, and I've even done one of my regular videos with Dawn of the Red. Just a solid beer made down in Eugene, Oregon. And I figured we'd have it again since John brought it up last week. We've got Old Town Brewing up in Portland. Polly's Not Irish Red Style Ale, 5.6%. I have not had this one before, but I figured if we're going to go red themed, we might as well
go all in.
Go all the way. Then we got Two Town Cider House, Unfiltered Pineapple Cider. And this one's fantastic. I think I've also had this on the show before. So a couple of repeats, but Polly's Not Irish is a little bit new one, and we'll get into it. All right. What do you want to start with? What sounds good?
I was kind of inclined for Dawn of the Red, but maybe we start with the Old Town and...
Sure. Sounds good to me.
Yes, it does.
Sounds very good to me.
Sounds very good. Sounds like Steve's trying to wreck our stream from next door.
Sounds like he is. Steve, are you home yet?
He said if it wasn't bath time, I would totally go and wreck their stream.
Oh, if you like reds, you were going to like this.
I love Reds.
Yeah. Big style of Reds.
So, what are y'all drinking tonight? Any ideas where they're streaming from? Nice price. We already said that, bro.
Yep. I'm streaming from my in-laws' living room tonight because my house is officially on the market as of today. If you weren't aware, if you haven't been watching the last couple of weeks, my wife and I are selling our house. We are not sure quite where we're moving to yet, but we've got a couple leads on some property we're looking at purchasing. This isn't a negative situation by any chance. In fact, we've never been more financially healthy before, but just seemed like a good chance to kind of take advantage of the Oregon housing market, as it were.
Sweet. Greetings from Ireland. Greetings.
Hello.
Good day from Australia. Good eye from Australia, mate.
Don't try it.
Did I butcher it?
Don't try it.
Let's see. Somebody's drinking Guinness. We got Bulmer's cider. Someone drinking some agua.
Got some water going on here. Let's see.
That's it.
Yeah. Cream and sugar porter. Nice.
Is Oban 14 a drink? Skull said that.
Yes.
Oh.
That's a whiskey.
Oh.
Yeah.
I mean, I could have guessed, but I thought maybe like...
I did think about opening up this question about, hey, where do you all live? And sell me on where you live. Becky Poo over in the Discord says, I hear there are some cool people living in Kansas City. You know, I've heard that as well.
Dude, KC has been rocking the new seasons of Queer Eye. I kind of been digging on KC a little bit. Oh, by the way, I can't drink this until I clink, and I clink to you all. Cheers.
Cheers. That is a phenomenal red. Super malty, super thick.
Really smooth.
Yeah.
Really thick, though. That's good. That's the amount of malt I want in a red.
Yeah, it's not exactly a clear red.
No.
That is very good.
This is one of the more drinkable reds I've had in a while.
Yeah. This is fantastic. Old Town Brewing.
Old Town Brewing.
Up here in Portland. Got the reindeer on the logo.
Yeah. The famous Portland sign. Yep. All right.
If you've been between Oregon and Washington on I-5, you've seen the sign.
Yeah. Yeah. And didn't Old Town... They got into some trouble using the logo.
No, it was someone else using the logo, and Old Town was disputing it.
Yeah.
Because Old Town owned the brewery with the logo on it, and Budweiser was trying to use the logo to signify Portland beer.
Oh, right, yeah.
So an InBev company was saying, you know, oh, the taste of Portland, and had the stag on it. Well, the stag belongs to Old Town. The sign itself either belongs to Old Town, or I know the University of Oregon was involved with the sign at one point.
I'm pretty sure it belongs to the city now. The sign.
And it may. But Old Town, I believe, has the copyright or the trademark on it for using it with beer products.
Right. There you go.
Because it was part of the original brewery.
Right.
So,
yeah.
There's some complicated history and rights usage with that sign. But yeah, the as far as beer merchandise, paraphernalia, etc., I believe Old Town Brewing has the exclusive rights to it.
Yeah.
And Budweiser was trying to push in. Oh, that's right. Budweiser was trying to make a deal with the city of Portland to be able to use the sign.
Right.
And Old Town said, no, that's not a valid use case because we have the trademark for that particular use.
There you go. Yeah.
That was
we ran the story on the...
I was trying to remember what it was.
Yeah.
Steve Gunnick having a two-hearted. We had that a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, we did.
Fantastic.
Pooh farted.
I remember now. Hold on. I was like, what? What the heck are you reading?
That's what I called it. I was a little underwhelmed with the two-hearted, but apparently it's a must-have for beer brewers everywhere.
Thank God he didn't do an Irish accent.
Yep, thank God that didn't happen and won't happen.
That's right. All right, let's go ahead and move on to our first story here.
Uh-oh. How do I get to it?
Your up-down arrow. There you go.
Thank God you're here. In full screen.
Hold on. There we go.
I could have handled that, but
I
just like to let Jeff reach across me, everybody.
That's right.
What do you think this black leather couch is for? Boba
Did I switch it?
Beer.
Yeah, so bubble beer, or bubble tea, I guess more appropriately. Bubble tea has been kind of a craze recently. And there's a beer maker that is trying to kind of get in on that. So a Malaysian beer company called The Beer Factory took beer and made it bubba, made it bubbly.
Yeah. By the way, I don't think you changed it.
I was trying to. Nope, I didn't.
This is so complicated.
There we go.
We did it.
I forgot what my hotkey was. There we go. We got it.
So they're making boba beer.
Making boba beer. You can only get it in Malaysia. Now, there are 4 different varieties available. There is the butter beer made with Kirin Ichiban. There is the Guinness milkshake made with Guinness. The strawberry lime cider made with Apple Fox. And the watermelon beer made with Tiger beer. And again, these are all supposed to be boba-inspired beers, kind of like your tea and, very unique mouthfeel, very light, bubbly, playful, etc.
Yeah.
But you can only get them in Malaysia. So if I have any Malaysian viewers,
Oh, yes. Good idea.
that would be amazing.
Yeah.
But yeah, might as well use the resources I have. So yeah, if you live in Malaysia and you can get a hold of any of these for me, drop me a line and we'll make it happen.
It almost looks like it's like only served in a Taco Bell based off of this like ad.
Kinda. Yeah, the ad is not the greatest looking thing.
Doesn't that look like a Taco Bell ad?
It totally does.
And then the B looks like the Beats logo. It's like in partnership with Beats and Taco Bell. Come get your Boba Beer.
With the Doritos Locos Taco.
That's what it looks like.
No, that font is totally that. For a limited time only.
And then how do they
Taco Bell.
And then how do they get away having butter beer?
I don't know.
JK is gonna come knock down Malaysia.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh well.
So yeah, limited time only at the according to the beer factory, only available in Malaysia. But it certainly sounds interesting. It certainly sounds like something I would try. Certainly something John and everyone else here would try. Present company not excluded. Just John in particular likes those weird. He'll drink it just because it's weird, even if it's terrible.
He loves weird beer, yet hates Gilgamesh.
Well, yeah. That is true.
I was drinking a beer the other day that I was like, I know John loves this, but it's not any better than Gilgamesh, but he hates Gilgamesh. What was I drinking? I don't know. Not important. I don't need to dig up the same arguments week in, week out.
Yeah, let's move on from our hate of Gilgamesh over here. So Dewclaw Brewing had an interesting idea as of late. So this is in Baltimore, Maryland, at a Baltimore brewery called Dewclaw, I believe is how you pronounce it. They are famous for doing sours and kettle beers and stouts and heavy IPAs, like New England milkshake style IPAs. They got a lot of people coming into their brewery asking, do you just have regular beer? So they made one. Introducing the Dewclaw regular beer. A beer that tastes like beer. And the whole theory behind this is getting back to simplicity. They, from Dewclaw's standpoint, their head brewer, he says people are just kind of a little burnt out at a certain point. Like, there's the craft beer enthusiasts who will never, ever be burnt out of whatever the current trend is. But there's a lot of people who just passively drink beer, or passively, rather, that are feeling a little bit overwhelmed oh, have you tried this new kettle sour? It's made with blackberries and penguin feathers. They're
not wrong. I think
right.
I think all of us have had an experience with many, many people. Like, I go down to the local Oktoberfest and they've got 36 beers on tap and I'm pouring beers and somebody goes, what's the closest to Budweiser?
Yeah.
There are people that like drinking beer and want to drink beer, but don't know what they want if it's craft. If you got the big name brand beers, the big domestic brewers, yeah, sure, they can pick out what they want out of that. But they're not going to spend time reading, craft brewing curated monthly or whatever,
Right.
They might not even have a tap house handy that they go to.
How can you not have a tap house you call your own? I mean, that's just a foreign concept.
It's a mystery to me, honestly. But there are people out there that apparently live like this. We might call it backwater, Jeff, but
oh, okay, those people.
But even 10 Barrel kind of already jumped on this a little bit. Isn't that what their pub beer is?
That's the pub beer. That's exactly what it is.
Which is a great beer.
Yeah.
I just bought a whole rack of that the other day. Because it's so easy to give out to people that don't know what they want.
Oh, totally. But it's a solid beer. And I've said this many times about pub beer and a couple other similars, especially when you get into the lagers and pilsners, the low-end craft beers like that. If that's what Budweiser tastes like, I would drink that all day.
Yeah.
It's a phenomenal beer. However, Budweiser, and not to leave them out, Coors, Miller, etc., Heineken to some extent, and a couple others, they taste like they're made with cheap ingredients to crank out as much beer as possible, and that's exactly what they are. And that's where there's a huge disconnect between the craft beer enthusiasts and the just beer drinkers of the world, where the beer drinkers are okay with diet, great value Pepsi.
Yeah. And I'm going to take it as a good sign for my favorite beer, Rainier, that wasn't on that list. So.
I just hadn't gotten to it yet.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, fair enough. But, yeah. You know, and that's the thing. Like, if I'm going to drink a domestic beer, like, you know, Rainier's at the top of the list. But I might go to, like, to a Mexican beer before I go to, like, Budweiser or something like that.
Right.
You know, Tecate, Corona, something like that before. Even, like, Pacifico, like, that's, like, my go-to, like, Mexican beer. And it's way better than Budweiser.
If I'm at a bar that only serves domestic beers, I've got two go-tos. I either go with a Widmer Hef or some kind of a Boston Lager.
Dude, when I was in Boston, all I drank was Sam Adams Boston Lager. Or I drank the Brick Road Red or the Freedom Trail Red, whatever they call it.
Yeah.
Because they only serve it on the Freedom Trail.
Boston, right.
And that was pretty good. I think everybody's heard the story, but I drank a cold Sam Adams across the street from a cold Sam Adams. Because he's dead.
From a dead and cold Sam Adams.
Yeah. Anyway, regular beer. I like the idea. I wish more brewers would do their own spin on this. And in fact, even 10 Barrel's label looks like this.
Yes. Yeah, the label is shockingly similar to 10 Barrel's pub beer.
Yeah.
And 10 Barrel has, I think, 3 or 4 different labels like this, where it's a lot of negative space, a lot of just... you know, Arial bold on a white background.
I like the period, too. That's a big move.
Regular beer. Yeah.
And this is well before my time, but a lot of people remember beer.
Right.
It was beer sold in a can with a white label that said beer. And I think a lot of people have figured it out by now that it's just kind of like whatever the brewers had left. They sort of just... they canned and called it beer.
Right.
And you get it super cheap. And that's kind of like what this feels like.
Yeah.
Because you got the label and all that. Anyway.
Yep.
We could talk about this forever, but...
Yep. And I don't mind the, you know, honestly, this is probably better than your standard, you know, Bud Light, Coors Light, Miller Light, you know.
Yeah, probably at least a little bit. I mean, probably comparable with Rainier.
Man of distinguished taste, I see.
Yes, I am. Ronier French import. You've probably never had it.
I have never had that one. You are correct. All right. Well, I'm just about done with this one.
Yeah, I noticed you're taking your sweet time.
It's a good beer.
You apparently didn't like it as much as I did.
I was savoring it. Yeah. Well, and what's funny is you got a little bit heavier pour than I did.
Yeah, you're a generous soul.
Well, this one you can have your own bottle.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Somebody called us out earlier for not paying attention to the Discord chat, so I'm trying to
pay attention to the Discord chat.
Attention. By the way, somebody said they live in Tampa. It's growing for the tech market if you can get past hashtag Florida. You know what I love about Tampa? When I was a young man, developing my musical tastes, the music that I gravitated towards was heavy metal. And when I was 16 years old, Tampa, Florida was the black metal capital of the United States. And for that, hats off to Tampa, Florida. They produced some of my favorite bands out of Tampa.
Hats off to Tampa, then.
KC, first place for Google Fiber.
Yeah. Hopefully they didn't try the nano trenching like they did in, what was that, Louisville?
Yeah, hopefully. Some douche named El Pollo Diablo just got back from Brewfest. Kind of beered out. Tried over 20 beers. Dang. Forgot how to try Brewfest, micro something. Good work, y'all. Doing great. Responding to the Discord chat tonight. I'll drink to that. Thanks, Becky Poo.
Hi, Becky.
I almost just drank this out of a bottle.
I know. I saw that.
I got some in my mouth. Should I be embarrassed?
You should be. Although John and I did drink straight from cans last week. That was a little awkward.
You know, some beers are meant to be drank out of a can. You know which one beer I will maintain deserves to be drank out of a can is a Fat Tire.
Okay.
It's so much better in a can,
I
cold.
can see that.
Even colder than they recommend.
Yeah.
You know, they recommend like 54 degrees
Yeah.
Fahrenheit or something.
There's a couple beers I love just ice cold.
Rainier.
Moving on. So there was a little bit of a kerfuffle on Reddit today. Oh, good night. Mwah.
Oh,
Good night, Bit.
so cute.
Little Bit's going to bed. Everyone say good night to Little Bit. All right. There was a little bit of a kerfuffle, of a stir on Reddit earlier today, as it became apparent that UserBenchmark.com has changed their method of aggregating their results. Now, for those who don't know, UserBenchmark.com is a website that you can download a benchmark utility, and it will benchmark your CPU or your GPU and give you total system performance. It'll tell you what your instructions in certain applications are, what your performance is with certain instruction sets, and it will rank your CPU among an aggregate list of other CPUs. And it's supposed to do it pretty objectively. Now, total system performance is a very loose metric because you're always doing something different with your CPU, whether you're rendering video on Adobe Premiere, or you're playing games, or you're doing CAD work, or you're doing this, or you're doing that. There's a lot of different use cases. So what they tried to do is take all those use cases and benchmark them individually, and then give you an aggregate score at the end. And before, they seemed to be doing a pretty adequate job of it. It wasn't my favorite benchmark, but it was certainly had its merits. That is until just before the Ryzen 2 release. So, actually, if you want to jump to, I think it's the next slide.
Jeff,
Yeah,
I would love to.
We'll go in reverse.
Reversing.
So this is from web.archive. This is the site as it existed on June 4th of this year. This is what is the effective CPU speed index. This is the index that UserBenchmark uses to compare your CPU against all other CPUs. And it breaks down as such. Single core performance is worth 30% of your overall performance. Quad core performance, that is 4 of your CPU cores, is 60% of your 60% of your overall performance. And multi-core, that is more than 4 cores, so 5 core and up performance is 10% of your overall performance. And their justification was that we're aiming to be more of a gaming benchmark, and games don't scale all that well for multiple core use. And I kind of buy that. I totally would have bought that in 2015. A little less in 2016, a little less in 2017, and a lot less as of 2018, because there are a number of games that are highly optimized for multi-core performance. That argument is starting to hold a lot less weight. Now, single-core performance is obviously still king, but at the same time, a 7700K is not going to compete in games with a 9900K. You're going to get better performance from the 9900K, bar none. Like, I don't think there's a single game out there that you'll get better performance than a 7700K. It doesn't exist. So while I appreciate them focusing on gaming for their overall total system performance, I don't think it's quite accurate. However, here's the rub. Red, if you want to jump back one slide. These are this is the criteria as they exist today. So single core went from 30% to 40% of your overall performance. Quad core went from 60% to 58%. And multi-core, so that is more than 4 core, is now only 2% of the total benchmark. And the great line here, if I can pull it up on my screen so I can actually read it.
Oh yeah.
It is this.
This is a great line.
Gaming CPU performance does not scale well with core count. Extra cores work very well for server and workstation loads where several CPU-intensive tasks need to run simultaneously. I don't like your phrasing, but okay. The next sentence says, beware the army of shills who would happily sell ice to Eskimos. So basically, if you don't agree with their methodology, you're nothing but an AMD shill. Boy. Now, the user benchmarks as they sat before was the 2990WX was one of the top CPUs on the chart. I think it was number 3 behind the 9980XE and a couple others from Intel. Might have been number 4 or 5, but it was fairly high on that list as far as overall total system performance. As of today, Rhett, why don't you click the next slide and we'll see what that change in their benchmarks did. So this is the 8350K, which is Intel's lowest end, still currently sold, overclockable CPU. It is 4 cores and 4 threads. Versus the AMD Threadripper 2990WX. The 8350K is, what is that, 37th overall? The 29, right here.
Oh, there it is. Yeah,
Real world speed.
Right.
The Threadripper is 55th. So what UserBenchmark is saying is when it comes to total system performance, an 8350K is faster than a 2990WX. And that logic scales across their entire platform. The highest scoring Ryzen chip was the 3600X, which is one of Ryzen's lowest performing as far as the 6-core and up. It certainly doesn't compete with the 3700X, certainly doesn't compete with the 3900X. The 3900X wasn't even in the top 20. Never mind that the 3900X beats a 9980XE in a lot of benchmarks. Maybe not all of them, but a lot of them. And 16 of the top 20 SKUs currently available were all Intel. Some of them ranging all the way down to the i3-8100 and the i5-8400. Those are not gaming chips. You can game on them, sure, but they're not of the likes of the 9700K or the 2700X or the 3900X, certainly. Boy, I don't know what to think about this one.
Here's a couple questions for you.
Yeah.
Number 1. What do you think motivated this change? Which clearly did... And do you think that they just thought that they would sneak this past everybody?
I think they did. I really think they did.
Because we were talking before we started rolling that, like, it almost feels like if they didn't write out this explanation, it was like, beware the army of shills!
Right.
That, like, it could have been like, oh, whoops, misplaced that decimal point.
Yeah.
Like, almost, that type of error.
Right.
That causes all this grief and people rip you apart and you go, no, sorry, it was just a coding error. Sorry, guys. Let's fix it.
Right.
But then they write out this whole explanation. I can't for the life of me figure out what motivated this other than, like Intel owns shares in this or something.
And there has been instances of various companies promoting independent benchmark sites to put their products higher up on charts. It's happened before. I'm not saying it's happening now. I have no ill feelings towards any of these companies. UserBenchmark, maybe some ill feelings towards their current benchmark, but certainly not UserBenchmark as a whole. Certainly not Intel, AMD, NVIDIA, etc. But that kind of thing has happened in the past. Intel has curated benchmarks. There was the whole fiasco last year with the 9900K launch where they gave it to what's their name over in where was that at? The Gamers Nexus is the quick expose on the company that Summit Ridge or Summit something.
Oh yeah.
Where they got samples 2 weeks early and did their own benchmarks, and Ryzen was pathetic in performance. And everyone says those benchmarks aren't accurate because we've tested those with those exact settings and nothing works. And you enabled game mode on a 2990WX and and then ran Cinebench on it.
But see, when that happens, like, do they legitimately think they're pulling the wool over everyone's eyes? Did they forget about the hundreds of other people that are gonna benchmark their products?
I don't know.
Why do they do that?
I don't know. I
How
was
many
curious.
people bought that CPU based off of that benchmark? Do you think that benchmark sold CPUs?
UserBenchmark is one of the first Google results when you search for CPU benchmark.
Sure, but like the Summit Ridge or whatever, like when they came out early.
Pinnacle, I think it was.
Pinnacle? Sure.
Yeah. It was. I forget the name of them because they were kind of irrelevant before and they're kind of irrelevant now.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah, I don't remember the name of the company. Someone help me out in chat if you remember.
Yeah.
That one was so egregiously bad. I don't think anyone possibly came out and said, I bought a 9900K because this random company that I've never heard of before and has no Google results for anything else says it's the best CPU ever. But let's see. Someone says benchmarking is pretty much useless for my computer use. Does anyone actually read UserBenchmark? I don't think people in the know, like if you're a tech enthusiast, I don't think you do. But UserBenchmark is one of the top results on Google when you just search,
right,
CPU benchmarks.
I'm sure it's a pretty common tool for a lot of just like consumer level.
Like I said, for my intents and purposes, I really prefer Passmark. I find it a lot more objective. I find it a lot more in line with a lot of the results that I see. Maybe not for everything, but for overall total system performance and where a CPU or GPU should line up on a chart, they're much more accurate than UserBenchmark ever was.
Yeah.
UserBenchmark, like I said, had their merits. They had a couple of benchmarks that really did work well and took advantage of certain technologies, but it was never my favorite. But that being said, just because you're not my favorite doesn't mean you're not relevant or valid.
Yeah.
And this just this is counter to every result that I've seen online, every result that I've tested personally. Where I've done gaming reviews on the i3-8100. I've done comparisons between the Ryzen 2400G and the i5-8400, and the 2400G kicks its butt and takes its lunch money in a lot of games.
My other question is throw the user benchmark qualifiers or their weighting or whatever they do. Now, if we had the Jeff benchmark, how would you weight, going back and looking at how they sort of weight their scores? How would you weight it for going into 2020 or end of 2019?
I've never really done an overall performance benchmark run. What is the best for gaming and productivity and video work and Photoshop and I've never really benched my processors that way. Most of my benchmarks have even been gaming based. I don't know that I've really done much for productivity based benchmarks. I certainly wouldn't weight multi-core at only 10%. Even with their old benchmark, I think that was far too
low.
Yeah. I would probably rate that at 30%. Because there are some things that just don't scale well. I would still give single core a pretty high rating as well. So maybe put single core at 50, maybe put multi-core at 20 and put quad or at 30 or something like that and put quad core at 20. And so then you've got your 100%, where single core still dominates because I'm a gaming focused channel. I prefer games, although I do server and productivity stuff as well. But multi-core is just as important anymore.
Yeah.
And honestly, with modern titles and modern productivity software, if you scale to 4 cores, you scale to multi-core. So maybe do 50-50.
Yeah.
Just eliminate the quad core score.
Right. Yeah. Because that's a good point. That's probably the simplest way to modernize it.
And honestly, Ryzen's quad cores, that's not where they're focusing because that's not where their bread and butter's at.
No.
If you look at their quad cores, they're much further stripped down than Intel's are. The Intel has for quad cores, they've got the 8300 or the 8350K, and I think they have a 9350K. Although I don't know if anyone's ever seen that in the wild. It's an official SKU, but I don't think it actually exists. Beyond that, Intel just has their 6-core and their 8-core. So the fact that they're still testing quad-core means that they're putting up the 9900K with a quad-core score. And I'm sure it's still a hair better than some of AMD's parts. Probably not all of them. And certainly not for every benchmark. But if I've got a 12-core and later on a 16-core Ryzen chip that is within 1 or 2% single-core performance, and you're not going to scale up my performance with the other benchmarks that are going to rock the hell out of Intel, that's a sham of a benchmark.
It's a farce.
Right.
Real quick, M writes in and says, it was Principled Technologies.
Principled Technologies, thank you.
And then...
Pinnacle.
Then Skull says... Isn't there some irony in there somewhere? Definitely what I would not call principled.
Totally. Absolutely. And that was the whole thing from the beginning. I'll just come out and say it. That was a dick move by Intel. From a reviewer standpoint, from a media standpoint, basically giving cherry-pick samples and telling them, oh yeah, you figure it out. We'll give you money. We'll pay for the reviews and everything. And you want to do 10 identical systems? Cool. We'll do 10 identical systems, and you can aggregate them. But you guys figure out the methodology, and just make sure Intel ends up on top.
So stupid.
For the record, I will never, ever, 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 ever do that on my channel. Ever.
You can't think of one instance. I'm being a smartass.
Boy, that would be a really big payday. You know, honestly, a big enough.
So there isn't an instance where you make like $1 million or something.
Right, $1 million. I'll publish a video and then I'll go dark. $1 million, yeah, done.
Yo, Intel, give us a call for the low price of $1 million. What do you think? I noticed.
I'll be your Pinnacle Technologies.
Principal Technologies.
Principal Technologies. God dang it. See, I already suck at the shill thing.
I noticed.
I just can't do it.
I don't know if it would have made the news cycle last week or not, but what do you think about the news that was breaking about all the stories where AMD was sort of playing the price game where they were...
Oh, with the 5700?
Yeah.
I think there's some truth to that. Because all the rumors that I had heard said the 5700 XT or the 5700 was going to release at $400. It was a 2080 killer at $400.
Yeah.
And in fact, it was all the way down to $250 at one point. And I went, that's probably not true. But that's not that they can't make it and sell it for that price point, but they're not going to because there's competition so much higher. And it's because NVIDIA is so overpriced right now that it doesn't make sense to beat their top tier product with a product that costs 1/3 of that price.
Right.
So if you can make the money at 400, make it at 400. When it released at 450, I kind of went, oh. It's like, okay, so you're within spitting distance of a 2070. You're probably competing with a 2070. Oh, look, you're slightly better than a 2070. I didn't expect that. But yeah, they released it at 450, and it forced NVIDIA to make a move and say, oh, we're going to release the super cards. And those were kind of teased since Computex, but what they were and why they were and how much they were and why they existed was never really clear. So finally, AMD releases these products, but a couple of days before, once the benchmarks were, or not the benchmarks, but the specs were solidified on AMD's end, NVIDIA releases these super cards to reviewers, and everyone goes out and they say, yeah, you got a spec bump. It's the same, $499 for a 2070 Super, which means it's going to be like $550 by the time the board partners get done with it. And then AMD, right at the last second, pulls the rug out from under and goes, ha, $399. It was a well-played move by AMD. I thought it was fantastic.
Right? Isn't it
And
fun?
this is what competition gets you.
I know. I was saying, isn't this so fun for us?
As someone who hasn't been shooting a lot of videos as of late, this is great fun to watch. It really is.
Oh, what do you think? Should we hit the next story?
I think so. I still got enough beer left to go for the next one. So
where are we at?
So UserBenchmark, I'm disappointed. I have no idea what their motivation behind this change is, but it's certainly not objective. This is not an objective change that you changed because, people are progressing more towards single and quad-core performance. No, we're going more multi-core. We're going more and more multi-core every day, where every CPU that's $150 or more has 6 cores in it now. And you can get an 8 core as low as $160 in the 1700. You can get a 2700X for $199 today. So for UserBenchmark to stand there and say, no, it's all about single core and quad core. No one cares about anything more than that. And not only that, only servers benefit from that workload.
Eskimos, bro.
That was barely true in 2016. That is not true in 2019.
Yeah.
And like I said, it had like a kernel of truth in 2016, where more and more things were multi-threaded enabled.
I mean, I know in the video game developer world, more and more indie devs are figuring out how to utilize multiple cores.
Yep.
It's just going to become more and more commonplace as the years go on.
Yeah, the tool sets have really expanded in as far as the language and the bare metal kind of things in the last couple of years, where even entry-level programmers can take advantage of multi-threading.
Yeah.
And I've been on record a couple times on Talking Heads about saying that that's really the thing that needs to happen is the software needs to develop to the point where it can support the hardware that's available.
Yeah.
Because there was a time in between 2013 and 2017-ish where we had all these cores being thrown at us between 4-core and 6-core on the high-end workstation level. Like the 5820K, you've got your 6800K, 6900K from Intel with the 6 and 8 core chips. That if you were gaming, they were performing just fine, but you were only using 2 or 4 threads at a time. You weren't utilizing the entire CPU.
Yeah.
And so unless you were doing production work, that extra money was wasted. In fact, you'd get better performance if you bought something like a 6700K or a 4770K or whatever the SKU of the day was. Since about the launch of Ryzen, that's really kind of started to go away since about 2017, when multi-core, and when I say multi-core, I mean more than 4 cores, became the norm purchase. It wasn't, Core 2 duos and Core 2 quads being thrown out anymore. Or, i5s being thrown at everyone with 4 cores and 4 threads. All of a sudden, a lot of people had access to 6 cores, 12 threads, 8 cores, 16 threads. And the software really matured around that same time as well. So, and that has helped foster the growth of Intel or of AMD and Ryzen as a whole.
Yeah.
Is those CPUs scaling much better than they used to?
Yeah.
You go back to Windows XP days, boy, that CPU is going to sit there idle most of the time.
Yeah.
All right, what's next?
Are we past this?
Sorry. So my next story is actually using UserBenchmark as a source.
See, we're unbiased journalists.
So after I slammed them, I'm going to go, and there's a leak inside of UserBenchmarks. See, I'm an unbiased journalist. This was 2 days ago, I think. This showed up on UserBenchmark. This is an unknown SKU, but it's an AMD SKU. It has 16 cores, 32 threads, and it is quad channel memory, which means Threadripper. So this is an unknown Threadripper CPU. AMD Sharktooth is the system, and the motherboard is an AMD White Havoc OC. I have no idea what that is, but they installed 64 gigs of RAM in quad channel support.
Whitehaven.
White Hawk is what I said?
White Havoc is what you said.
White Havoc.
You were close. It's far away.
It's far away.
Because it says Haven OC, so you probably saw Havoc.
Okay. But I said OC after it, too. That was weird.
You did, yeah.
Whatever. Whitehaven for the AMD motherboard. They were on a 4K display. I'll give them that. But this was posted actually this morning at 10 a.m., July 24th. So we know a little bit about the performance based on the userbenchmark.com results, which we know are kind of farcical at this point, but that doesn't discredit the individual benchmarks. It scored overall a 94.3%. Single core performance was 135 points, quad core was 528, and multi-core was 2,811 points, or 2% of that. Now, how that compares to a lot of other CPUs, unfortunately, because they changed the benchmark, I can't really tell you, but I will say it's performing in the 70th percentile, which is kind of crap considering it's a 16-core, 32-thread, third-generation Ryzen.
That's based off of their modified weighting system.
Yeah, it's in the 70th percentile.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Take that with a grain of salt.
Right.
Yeah. That's got to be just based off of their current thing.
And just like a lot of the early benchmarks we saw, the RAM that they're using is DDR4, but it's seriously underclocked. It's running at 1600 megahertz. Although if that's only reporting the single thread speed of the memory, not DDR, then it could be 3200 megahertz. But we saw some early results from Ryzen that were being leaked on Passmark, UserBenchmark, and quite a few other sites that were using 1600 megahertz or 1833 speeds of seriously underclocked to DDR4 probably trying to just get the stability in the CPU rather than cranking the memory and going from there. And that's not uncommon for us to see on some of these early benchmarks. So we do know that, it's been rumored that Threadripper is going to launch as soon as October of this year, and Intel may have a launch as well, although I'm betting that is going to be more of the mobile CPU side of things. But Threadripper 3 is slated for an October release. Now, what do we know of it thus far? We do know it is going to be backwards compatible with the SP3 2 socket, which is TR4. And one thing that's a little bit unclear is the name, because AMD with the Ryzen 9 kind of took the Threadripper naming scheme, which was the 1900X, 1950, and then the 900 series SKUs. With the release of the 3900X and the 3950X, they said, well, where's Threadripper going to fit in? Because are you just going to call them the WX from now on? That's a little confusing. You can't have a 3950X and a 3950WX on two different platforms. That's just stupid. There is rumor this is not going to be a second generation Ryzen. This is going to be a third generation Ryzen, or a Ryzen 4000 SKU. This is going to be a 7 nanometer plus SKU using Zen 3 technology. So that is the current rumor that I saw, and I kind of like that rumor.
It matches everything we're seeing.
Matches everything else, AMD. Because we knew, based on the way that Zen is designing their architecture around the I/O die that is being placed on both Threadripper and standard Zen chips, and then the chiplets which are being placed, which is 4 cores per die, or 8 cores per die, excuse me. We knew that the standard Zen chip could hold 16 cores, 32 threads on the I/O and have so many PCI slots. And they said that same architecture is present in the EPYC servers. And when Zen 2, so the AMD 3000 series, was announced, we said, okay, well, where's Threadripper at? Well, Threadripper wasn't announced, and you kind of used all the names for them. Well, that's weird, because they're the same parts. So why didn't you just throw them on a different substrate and call it a day? Well, it's probably because they never planned on releasing Zen 2 for Threadripper. They plan on releasing Zen 3 for Threadripper. Which means, all that single-core performance we're getting on the 3900X at 4.7 gigahertz? We might beat it. With 32 cores and 64 threads. Or 64 cores and 32 threads. Or 128 threads. If the 64-core Threadripper rumor is true as well. And I quite honestly don't even know what to say about that. We have no idea what pricing is going to be. We do know that pricing for the standard Zen has climbed up to $500 and $750 for the 12 and 16 core respectively. We know Threadripper has traditionally started at around $500 with the 1900X. That SKU was not continued. Later on, it was the 2920X, which was the 12 core. And that was, I think, $599. Although that has since plummeted as well. But it's been around that $500 to $600 price point that Threadripper has started. Well, now you're all of a sudden going to start overlapping price points if you start your Threadripper down there as well. I don't know that that's necessarily the case. I think we're going to see a 16-core Threadripper as their base, probably for I'd say a $799 price point. If I'm a betting man, I would say $799, 16 cores, 32 threads. 4.5? Maybe 4.5? That would be pretty sweet. And I'm just spitballing at this point. I don't know any more than any of you do. But we do know that it will be based on the same type of design that Zen 2 is based on, which is the 12 nanometer I/O and the 7 nanometer dies, using chiplets with potentially 16 cores per chiplet, not just 8. Or potentially put more chiplets on there if they have the space for it. Now that is going to be a power-hungry little son of a gun. So cooling that might be a problem, although contact Intel, I'm sure they'll loan you their chiller.
Thanks, Intel.
Thanks, Intel. What time is it? I don't have a clock here.
It is 9 o'clock on the dot. What? No, your phone is 6 minutes slow. Let's see what my phone says. What? My phone says the same thing.
Yeah, your watch is 6 minutes fast.
Well, my watch is 3 minutes fast, so I should have said your phone is 3 minutes slow.
Yeah, 8:57.
That doesn't make any sense.
And this ain't wrong.
I think it is. Technology is failing us. The world is collapsing.
You can do F11.
F11. Boop.
Oh, look. It's 8:58. Oh, look.
I don't want to see
It's
that.
8:58.
I don't want to see it. Okay? I don't want to see it.
It's 8:58.
I need my union rep. I need my union rep here now.
This is not a union workplace. My word is law.
Damn it. What did I get myself into?
You signed on the dotted line, buddy.
I didn't have a lawyer review my contract, and I'm pretty sure I was drunk when I signed it. Doesn't count.
It's not a defense in a court of law. I wouldn't have killed that guy, but I was really drunk that night. Oh, well, he was really drunk. Case dismissed.
He was just having a grand old time. But Jeff, I have my whole swimming career in front of me. I don't know. That's Brock Turner. Anybody? No? Okay. I'm not Brock Turner. I don't know why I went that route. That was like way too deep into like some weird...
You did what I did sometimes, and you tell yourself a joke and you laugh at that joke, and you went, well, wait, I need to go like one step further. But you go 3 steps out, and you realize no one else gets the references in between.
Yeah, you missed every step of my pathway to that line.
Right.
It would have been funny...
Hot Brock Turner takes.
It would have been funny if you were me or anyone that had access to my brain.
I'm sure it was.
Yeah. My swimming career is too bright. I can break any law. Anyways.
Gabriel brings up a great point. Epic ROM is way more important to AMD than Threadripper. And that is absolutely true. 100% true. And I have touted this from the beginning. So goes the data center, so goes consumer electronics. It is not you and me that move markets. It is data centers that move markets. And that's where the money is made. That's where the money is lost. And that's where market share is gained and lost. And Epic is already starting to gain a little bit of a foothold in the data center, as I said they would with their second generation. The first generation is a show me product. Show me what you have. Hey, we'll order a couple stacks of it. Hey, that worked really well. You were a lot more power efficient than Intel. We got a lot more performance per dollar and a lot more performance per square foot in our data center out of you. Tell you what, here's $17 million. Fill our data center with it. That's the way it goes. So first generation, show me what you got. Second generation, okay, now deliver it. And with Epic coming up on 7 nanometer and third generation, there's going to be a lot of data centers as their migration cycles come up. They're going to be buying a lot of Threadripper or a lot of Epic chips. And yeah, if you want to... I know Linus told everyone to buy stocks, and it was a great buy because all of a sudden it gained like $10. If you want to really buy AMD stocks right now, buy it as the next gen Epic is released and gets into the market. Stocks will soar because sales will be good. What are you typing in my name?
Well, everybody knows it's me because they can see me be like...
Right. Right.
No, we're talking about Brock Turner. So
Okay.
somebody was like, yo, got the reference, but...
Hold up, yo.
So I was like, yeah, that was bad.
Yeah.
And then M wrote, it's okay. He's a good Christian.
Yep.
We're just having our own combos over here.
I know $17 million to fill a data center. No, I know that was a bad estimate. Small data center, yeah, more like a co-location. Shut up. You tried being live. It's not as easy as it looks. Okay, Kildy, Team Red CPU since case 6. I have bounced back and forth a number of times. My first brand new build was a K62 though, so. 475 megahertz. And everyone goes, well, why didn't you buy the 550? I couldn't afford the 550. Yeah. So I had a AMD K62 475. More like a rack. Whoa, whoa, whoa. If you're spending 17 mil on a rack, if it's a compute rack, maybe. if you're stuffing it full of Teslas, then maybe. But not for just a bare bones CPU with a lot of memory in it. Poor K5. Ha ha ha. All right, what's next? Asus announces a new phone. The ROG Phone 2 combines literally the highest end specs you could possibly get in a phone. Snapdragon 855 Plus, which is the first phone to be confirmed to have this chip. It is a 2.9 gigahertz 8-core CPU with a 657 megahertz graphics processor, I want to say, if I recall correctly. Yeah, the thing is absolutely insane. And they came out with an all-new dock for it with what's being called Joy-Con style controller adapters.
Yeah.
So they're adapters that click onto the sides of the dock, which, by the way, the dock kind of turns it into a Nintendo 3DS.
Yeah, a little bit.
The nice thing about this dock is your phone snaps into the center section. The top screen is the same exact panel as the panel on the phone. It's literally, they took the panel and the touchscreen off the phone and they put it into the dock. So your phone is driving both screens, but there's no difference between them to your eyes. They're both the 120 megahertz AMOLED screens. Very, very nice screens. You're also getting 11,000 megahertz milliamp of total battery capacity, USB charging, RGB lighting, of course.
Naturally.
And WiGig technology for the display dock, so you can stream whatever you're gaming on over to the TV or PC of your choice.
Naturally, everybody wants to see what I'm playing on my phone.
Right. Features a 6.59-inch Full HD, which they're calling a 2340 by 1080 screen. AMOLED panel, which is up from 90 hertz to 120 hertz. And it will be available soon, as the dogs say hello. So yeah, this is an insane phone. I'm a really big proponent of handheld gaming. I love the Game Boy and the Nintendo Switch ecosystem.
Sure. Go ahead and say it.
I've never gotten into it on Android.
Yeah, me neither.
On mobile devices on my phone. I've never, ever found a compelling experience to play.
Yeah, it's just, to me, it's never been the right platform. And right. I found a few games that have interested me on the Android platform. Mm-hmm. But at least for me, as a gamer, mm-hmm. it's a very specific thing that I'm looking for.
Right. Even when it comes to the Nintendo side of things.
Yeah.
And the PlayStation. I also owned a PlayStation PSP for a while.
Right.
Even when it comes to that, it was very specific what games I was looking to play.
Yeah.
Those games tend to be more of the pick it up, play for 10 or 15 minutes at a time and put it down. It's not the grind it out kind of games that I play on the PC. And there's only so many experiences that are available for that. Now, Breath of the Wild kind of changed my mind on that, being able to play Breath of the Wild on the Switch. But I think that would have done it with any game of that scale.
Yeah.
That was available for Switch. And honestly, I played it more on the TV screen than I did on the Switch itself.
Of course you did. You and everyone else.
Right.
And that's the way it goes. I think that, for me at least, yeah, I like those pick up, put down games. Mm-hmm. But I do want something where I'm going to see some progression.
Yeah.
Right? I don't necessarily want to pick it up and do the same thing over and over and over. I could probably never play Candy Crush.
Correct. I can't play the mind-numbing games on a handheld. I just can't do it.
Yeah.
But the reason I keep going back to Nintendo is games like New Super Mario Brothers.
Yep.
Going through, and I can sit down with that and I can play 1 or 2 levels of that, spend 15 minutes playing it, and then put it away, and then pick it up a couple days later and play the next 2 levels. And I haven't lost any of the experience.
Absolutely.
Whereas a lot of the mobile games, they're trying to get into the hardcore gamers with the first-person shooters, with the strategy games, and things like that.
I never want to play those.
Where it's
racing games.
Right.
Why would I play a racing game on my phone?
Whoa. I love racing games.
Okay, racing games are great.
Yeah.
Okay, but I'm not going to play Gran Turismo on my freaking phone.
That's true. Because I was one of the nutcases back in the day of Gran Turismo 3 where I did a couple of the 24-hour challenges.
Oh, no.
On the... I did one that was an oval track.
Oh, no.
I did 24 hours on an oval in a 2002 Camaro.
Yeah, but that's pretty easy to do because you just take a rubber band.
No, it's not.
You take a rubber band... You put it over the joystick, you get it right over the X button, which was your gas.
No, because you have to worry about tire wear. Your tires get worse in the corners as you're going around.
Yeah, you're right.
And you have to...
I forgot all about that,
You have to do feathering as you're doing it, and it is draining. I mean, I wasn't even in the dang car. I'm just sitting there with a PlayStation controller and just going, okay, I'm making a left turn again. Ooh, this one's a little sharper than the previous one. Okay, now I'm back straight. Hold it straight.
Oh.
Hold it straight. So yeah, I was one of those nutcases that did that. I also did a 24-hour on Laguna Seca.
That would be...
That was fun.
Draining.
That was very draining.
It all sounds draining to me, Jeff. But, could you do it on your phone?
I could not do it on my phone.
No, of course
There's no possible way.
You know why? Because phones are not the platform for gaming. I don't care if you spruce it up and you put an 11,000 milliamp battery on this bad boy. It's not the platform for gaming.
And yeah, I would pretty much fully agree with that. Like I said, the reason Nintendo has been successful is they offer compelling experiences that I can pick up or put down that don't require an hour at a time of my time. There are a couple out there, but like I said, those are the exceptions, not the rule. There's Skyrim for the Switch, there's Doom. Although Doom is pick it up and play a level for 15 or 20 minutes and put it down. There's all the Mario games. There's Breath of the Wild, which you could play for 15 or 20 minutes at a time. I could totally see that.
Sure.
But it's not games that are mobile derivative. It's not the Clash of Clans. It's not, World of Warships. It's not those type of games. If you like those games, fantastic. But those games play fine on a phone without the full joystick connected dual screen experience. There's not a lot of games that this is really going to appeal to. So I really don't know who this is for. I think it's great hardware, but you can't throw hardware at a wetware solution.
Here's the thing. Mobile gaming is not an American thing.
I think that is absolutely true.
Everywhere I've gone in the world, I have seen hundreds of people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They're on a subway. I don't even know what they're doing. They're just tapping the screen a whole bunch. I've never seen people play more mobile games than when I'm abroad.
That's probably true.
And I don't know why it is, but...
I have never been abroad, but yeah, public transit here or...
Right, it's not really a
airplanes
thing.
Or anything like that. It's just not a thing. What do you...
Always got to get a taste out of the can first, bros.
Rainier habits die hard.
Do they? Yeah, they do. What up? What up? What up?
What up, indeed. 210 Cider House Pacific Pineapple Unfiltered Pineapple Cider. And it's amazing.
This is just pineapple juice.
It's 5%.
This is just pineapple juice.
Yeah, it's not a heavy cider, but this is one of my favorites. It's just so good.
Hey, real quick, I want to talk about the ROG phone.
Yeah.
Updated as of the other day. It's launching for $870 US.
Whew. That's for the base model, right?
And that's for the base model.
Base model came with, I think, 64 gigs of storage. There really wasn't anything different other than the storage. It was available up to 512 gigs of capacity, though. So you can upgrade to further on versions.
That's a pretty competitive price.
It is. Well, yes and no. Yes and no.
My Pixel 2 costs more than that.
Right. I don't have a Pixel 2. I have an Essential phone that I spent $250 on.
I know. Well, not everybody
with a Snapdragon 835 in it.
Not everybody is as smart as you.
This man speaks the true.
Yeah, unfortunately, this is the problem with the American phone market. It's just overpriced. It doesn't make any sense.
Yep.
And I have fallen into the trap of...
Oh, I fell into the trap once. I fell into the trap once. When it was around the time of the iPhone 6S, and I was an iPhone user for many, many, many years. And I had a falling out with Apple during my 6S Plus use.
Yeah.
Where I just was not happy with them anymore and their business practices and their retail experience and their repair experience, where I said, I'm done with Apple. I'm turning about face and I'm going the other direction. And I did that throughout pretty much everything that I did. I got rid of my Apple laptops. I got rid of my Apple desktop. I stopped supporting Apple in their business practices. I still like the ecosystem. I still like the environment. But if you're going to treat me as a customer that way, I'm done. So I fell into the trap of the 6S Plus once. Now, before the 6S Plus, there was subsidies provided from Apple or LG or Samsung or whoever the phone maker was to the cell phone companies, where you could pay an upfront cost of maybe $199 or $250, and you got the phone and you signed it to your contract and you were done. Now it's a $30 to $40 to $50 monthly payment over 2 years or sometimes 30 months. Where it's extending over 2 years, where you're paying the full cost of the phone. However, my coverage didn't go, or my cell phone bill didn't go down.
Yeah.
I was paying at one point more for my cell phone service than I was for car insurance on 3 cars full coverage.
Yeah.
More than I was paying for home internet.
Yeah.
More than I was paying for life insurance.
Yeah.
More than I was paying for... And I'm like, it's a goddamn cell phone.
Yeah. That's ultimately...
So I bought the 6S Plus, and it was $36 a month or something like that for 30 months. Because I got the 128 gig version. It's all pimped out. And it didn't last 30 months.
No. They never do. You're lucky to get 2 years out of a phone. I honestly do. They build it with planned obsolescence in mind.
Right.
Because... And I remember reading a story like 10 years ago that they found out that they can actually make cell phones faster by using cheaper parts. Doesn't that sound like the most propaganda thing you've ever heard in your life?
Yes.
It's like, oh, okay, we should all be thankful they're using cheaper parts because now my phone is faster because that's just what I need, a fast cell phone.
We've all bought it hook, line, and sinker, and it's a lot of the enthusiast tech crowd, a lot of the gadget crowd. I mean,
that's the reason I settled though with the Pixel 2, even though it costs a lot of money, is because I had complete control over my cell phone bill. My cell phone bill is now monthly. It's like $55 a month.
You have a Google Fi.
Google Fi.
Yeah. I have my brother-in-law has a Google Fi as well.
Yeah.
For me, that wouldn't work because my data use spikes and there's ebbs and flows to my data use, and I know it caps out at a certain point. But if I were to go Google Fi for my family plan, it would exceed the money that I'm spending on the family plan.
Yeah.
So it makes sense in some cases, in other cases it doesn't. And
I think I could be wrong, but like I was doing some research on it. The Google Fi plan caps at like, so it's like $20 for the first line, $10 for every line thereafter.
Yeah.
For unlimited calling and texting. So I don't know how many phones you got, but let's just say that puts you at like. Let's just say it puts you at like $50 or whatever. Then it's $10 per gig up until 10 gigs. Then, you pay $100 for 10 gigs, but then I'm pretty sure it's free after that. I'm pretty sure that's like their unlimited plan is like, all right, you've spent $100. Like,
right.
So it's like at that point it'd be like $150 for unlimited data.
Right. So I pay $155 for 2 lines plus a hotspot. Through AT&T with 30 gigs a month.
That's pretty good.
And so it's not the worst plan in the world. It's technically 3 lines because I've got a hotspot, but I do use the hotspot. We average 11.5 gigs a month. And so I'd be paying that 150 plus a second device.
Yeah.
So we're right on that threshold of, I could get unlimited data, but I really don't use the unlimited data because I get rollover with AT&T.
Yeah.
So I've got 150 gigs in my back pocket. So
you're good. Yeah.
I'm good.
It suits your use.
Right,
I
exactly.
see. I see. That
So there might be a couple months that I pay $90, but there's also going to be the months that I pay $165, where the AT&T plan would be $150 or $135. I don't remember exactly where it sits right now. But yeah, on average, I'd be paying exactly the same that I'm paying now. Yeah. Now, if I was a lighter user, it'd be a much lower cost. But
Hey, Skull says, it took me a while to notice, but the watermark is missing on screen.
It is missing on screen. The watermark only existed on my server because Photoshop only existed on my primary workstation. I didn't have it installed on my streaming box. And so I only saved the watermark on the server, and whenever my computer booted up, it would automatically map the server drive and then pull the watermark down, whatever the current version of it was.
Yeah.
So this is a consequence of my server is not running right now. In fact, the streaming setup, I set up at 6:30 tonight. So,
pretty impressive. It's working.
It's working. I got 2 lights. I got 2 microphones. I got a camera. I've got dual input on the HDMI. This is my normal streaming PC because I didn't want to set up a new PC because, oh my God, this would suck.
Yeah. Oh. All right. What are we on to? The next story?
Yeah, I think so.
We're running out of time to get to Picard.
What time is it?
9:20.
Apple is looking at buying Intel's wireless modem division, buying their 5G modems, which I think would be a great deal for them. A great deal for Intel, who wants to get out of that industry because they're seeing increased competition from Qualcomm and a couple other vendors. And Apple in a position to make 100% in-house products. That's pretty big. The only thing they don't have is Samsung, or is a screen manufacturer, which they bounce back and forth between Samsung and LG. So as soon as they get a screen manufacturer dialed up, they can build 100% in-house, and that is their ultimate goal: is to control their ecosystem. So, good deal for them. Speaking of the Nintendo and the Joy-Cons, Nintendo is facing a class action lawsuit over Joy-Con failures. I thought you had something for it because you said yeah, so I was gonna.
It's like briefly unrelated, but this was a joy of my weekend, right? Mm-hmm. Speaking of class action lawsuits, I
enjoy
just got half of my payout from the BP class action lawsuit that was started like 10 years ago.
Wasn't that like $85?
90 for me, 91. Yeah. So, and then not only that, I just watched on the news the other day. Next year, I can expect another $91 check. So, it pays. I remember going...
$1 bill, y'all.
Dude, I know. All I was like, what am I going to spend my $91 on? Apparently, I went because I used to go to Arco, and they'd be like, there's a 35-cent charge for using your debit card. And I remember like being like, that is illegal. And they're like, okay, sir, I make minimum wage. Can you just get gas or not? And I was like, all right.
Yeah.
So... But
you know what's funny is charging more to use a credit or debit card is illegal, but giving a cash discount is not.
Right? Isn't that weird?
Yeah, it's all nomenclature.
Yeah. It's so bizarre. But anyway, I got that letter when I was like 19. And they were like, do you want to be in this class action lawsuit? And I was like, I told them every time it was illegal. Sign me up.
You're not 19 anymore.
No, I'm not. I'm not at all.
Yeah, no, my father-in-law, my brother-in-law actually just got similar checks for, like I said, 85 or something like that.
Yeah.
Yep. Anyway, Nintendo is facing a class action lawsuit over Joy-Con drift, as it's been known as, the cause of which is not really certain. It tends to affect the left Joy-Con more than the right, although the right has been reported to be failing. Basically what it is input inaccuracies in the Joy-Con itself. So it will either lock into a position that's not home, and so it will be off-center, and if you're playing Breath of the Wild, Link will slowly do circles to the left because its home position is not known. They don't know if this is caused because of dust or debris getting under the mechanism, causing false input, causing to lose calibration. They're not sure if it's software. They're not sure what exactly the problem is, but it is becoming a little bit more widespread, and widespread enough that they filed a class action lawsuit for it.
Doesn't that feel a little heavy-handed?
Yes and no. Because if there is a known common fault in a product, you are liable as a corporation for that product.
Yeah.
To a certain extent.
It just seems so weird to me. It's like, my video game sticks are breaking. I'm upset. I require damages to be paid to me.
Yeah, it does seem a little weird, but we are a litigious society.
You're not wrong, yeah.
Right. Now the problem is, do they break within the warranty period, and is it breaking due to expected use? And your expected use is playing how many hours per day? And your expected use is playing in what situations? It's a mobile device. It's meant to be touted around and played in dirty environments and da-da-da-da-da. Is it breaking under those conditions? Well, then you're probably liable as the manufacturer. If someone is using it in an unusual situation, you're probably not liable. But from daily use on a machine used in the designated purpose and the designed purpose and the designed ways, this is a problem.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of things that go into class action, but that's one of them, is are you using it in the designed way, in the advertised way?
This article brings up a good point, too, that, it has all these interesting features, which are all great, but a typical Joy-Con costs $80, which they're saying is about 20 to 30 more than a PS4 or an Xbox One controller.
And I would say that's probably a very accurate statement, and in fact, I can't imagine manufacturing costs are that much higher for a Joy-Con. In fact, I would imagine they're less.
I would think the same thing.
Yeah. Now, there are two of them. There's two Bluetooth radios. There's two joysticks, although there's two joysticks on the PS4 controller. There's this, there's that. I don't see these as any more complex or any more difficult to design and produce than a PS4 controller is. So the fact that it's $80 for that and $50 for the other,
yeah.
Certainly not a favorable point in Nintendo's stand.
Yeah. If you find the Gizmodo article that we are looking at right now,
links down in the description.
You can scroll to the very bottom and you can find the class action lawsuit and read it in its entirety, which I think is interesting.
Yep.
And you can also sign up for it if this affects you via that article as well.
Yeah, if you are affected by this issue, there is a link down in the Gizmodo article below to be able to sign up if you think you need to. I'm not providing legal advice one way or the other. I'm simply reporting on the facts of the story. So there we go. Cleared myself of any wrongdoing.
I am not a lawyer.
This is not legal advice. Craft computing is not legally binding in any way, shape, or form, and Rhett's an idiot. So
wouldn't it be weird if I was a lawyer, though, and I just revealed that right now?
Even if you were a lawyer, you cannot provide legal advice in this platform.
You're right.
Yeah.
I would have to accept money or something.
Right. There would have to be an exchange of services.
Super comments.
That's right.
Don't do that. I'm not a lawyer.
Yeah. Even on... I do watch a couple lawyers on YouTube. Lawful Masses is one of my favorite, Leonard French, just breaking down different issues because he takes a copyright stance for a lot of things, but he also does a little bit more of a gamer slant sometimes. But he has an absolutely fabulous YouTube channel where he breaks down a lot of different issues. He likes making fun of the sovereign citizen complaints and things like that. He also dove straight into the Fallout 76 fiasco and the potential class action lawsuit that followed there, and goes over a lot of the issues. But he is a copyright lawyer by trade. But he makes sure to reference in every single video that he is not providing legal advice if you're afflicted by this class action. You need to consult your own attorney, do your own due diligence, essentially. Which I gotta say, as someone buying a home, is the worst phrase to put into a property.
I know.
Crap.
I know.
Holy crap. I'm like day 3 into doing due diligence on a property, and
Nothing's easy.
Yep. Everything I wanted to say there was a swear.
Nothing's easy and life is fleeting, so drink up.
That's right. Ask me hard as yo ho. Or drink up me hard as yo ho. There we go.
There you go.
Gotta get the song right.
Yeah, stop saying it wrong.
Yep.
You're embarrassing me in front of all of our viewers.
That's right. Let's skip the next one.
Alright.
Let's go to the Windows 10 one briefly.
Copy.
There we go. Yep. The start menu may be coming back. You might be able to get away with the window blinds and the whatever the other applications are, the Start 8 or Start 7 or whatever the hell that program name is. The Metro or modern UI may be going away in favor of simply application icons in your Start menu through a new leaked internal build of Windows 10. So that's the thing. If you hate the Metro UI so much, you want to revert it back to Windows 7. That's that.
Feels dumb, but okay.
It feels really dumb.
But that's just me. I hate change.
GTA 5 unleashed a new DLC upon the world in which you can go to the Diamond Casino and gamble your money away. There's one major problem with that, though. The money can be real. However, you can't win anything.
Isn't that just great for the thousands of people afflicted with gambling addiction?
We are in the wrong business, if I'm like from a money-making perspective.
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
I know.
I say that quite often with a coworker of mine, where we'll write an invoice and it's like, $30,000 for what? Well, it's for this. We are in the wrong business, my friend, because I'm not making that. But anyway, GTA 5 unleashed the Diamond DLC for free to online users because, well, why wouldn't I want every single user to be able to partake in this?
Yeah, I know.
So what it is an online casino called the Diamond Casino. You can go there. You can buy shark cards, which is real currency. That is me paying 10 or 20 or 50 or 100 and some odd dollars to buy in-game currency, which I can then exchange for chips, which I can then gamble away, which I can then lose, and then I'm out the cash.
Or even if you win.
Or even then when I win, I can't re-exchange it back into currency, back into shark cards, and then back into real currency, because that's not a system that's operated by Rockstar, nor is online gambling really a thing that's totally legal. There's a lot of weird stipulations and things around that. But
well, it's such fertile, like, fresh territory. Like, people, like, this is kind of a new thing. Mm-hmm. And so people are still figuring out the ins and outs of this.
Right. But as a whole, online gambling is totally not kosher in a lot of different places.
A lot.
And as this long list indicates, it's not kosher in probably about close to 50 countries in which this DLC has been banned from being distributed and played. So if you live in
Afghanistan, Algeria, American Samoa, Argentina, Azerbaijan, the Bahamas, Bhutan, Azerbaijan.
Yeah, okay. You're putting the emphasis on the wrong syllable.
Oh.
Azerbaijan.
I always say it a certain way because Eddie
Azerbaijan.
Azerbaijan.
I
always say it however I say it because Eddie Izzard does a whole joke about it, and he's like, it's so well set up, and he goes, like, it's one of those fake countries, like Azerbaijan. And I was like, what? That's such a clever name for a fake country. And then I looked it up, and it's a real country.
It's a real country.
Oh.
Yeah, it just sounds fake.
But anyway, all of these countries listed here, no, I'm not going to list them all, even though you all want me to because I have a beautiful...
North Korea?
North Korea doesn't even allow gambling in their games. Can you believe it?
Yep.
We live in the South Korea of... No, just kidding. Is South Korea on here? They are! The Koreas don't care for this.
And what's funny is they actually went country by country and listed why it's illegal in that country. Cambodia, gambling is illegal for natives, but land-based gambling is legal for foreign visitors.
Welcome to Cambodia.
So if you're a native of Cambodia, you cannot play in the Diamond Casino, but if you are a foreigner visiting, so if you hopped a plane over to Cambodia,
I do want to go see Angkor Wat.
You could play in the Diamond Casino in the region of Cambodia.
I absolutely could, and I absolutely would. Why? Because I grew up in America, where gambling is a legal freedom that I enjoy no matter where I go.
Cayman Islands, land-based gambling is illegal, and online casinos are banned, whereas foreign slots are not. So again, as a foreigner, you can probably play in the airport. Cyprus, online sports betting is okay with a license, and that's the case with a lot of different companies, or a lot of different companies. Gosh.
Yeah. They're basically companies.
Poland, everything but online sports betting is illegal. So there's a huge list of them.
Yeah.
United States is on the list because Hawaii has a full gambling ban. Gambling is not allowed in the state of Hawaii. Period. End of discussion.
Which I could be wrong about. Well, no, they have a full gambling ban. I must have just read this in terms of like in the context of like loot boxes and things in games. But I remember that Hawaii was like, no, this doesn't happen in Hawaii. And I was like, good for you guys. Because while loot boxes make us all feel really good, just like smoking a cigarette might, drinking a beer might, which is nothing wrong with either of those things if you're a of-age adult. I don't know where I was going with that. But anyway, yeah, the loot boxes are kind of weird and it's crazy. This like weird new ground. But I believe I read about Hawaii's gambling law in context of loot boxes. Mm-hmm. Not only that, I'm pretty sure they just passed a law to raise the smoking age to like 100 or something ridiculous.
Something like that.
They weren't like...
It might be like 25.
I remember reading it like, it's not illegal, but virtually no one can buy cigarettes in Hawaii.
You're 75. No, sorry, you still can't make your own decisions.
Right, yeah. Not saying it's the correct way to go about it, but Hawaii is doing their own thing, which they always have, so... So there you go, folks. Oops, the list of countries that you cannot gamble in. And this is like a step worse than loot boxes. What's mind-blowing to me is like Rockstar is this massive game development company, and they come out with GTA 5, which is this groundbreaking game, and online sucks for a short time. They do all this work. GTA 5 Online becomes like the online experience. Then they come out with this little game called Red Dead Redemption 2. Maybe you've heard of it. I don't know anything about it.
Little title, indie title out of their secondary studio in San Diego. You know,
I don't know anything about it. Never heard of it. So anyway, Red Dead Redemption 2 online.
Are you proud of that?
I am. So their online mode, again, following in the suit of GTA 5, sucks. Rockstar has become the bane of the game development world. And then they win their hearts and fans of their the hearts and minds, the hearts and whatevers of their fans back by making
hearts and something.
Their farts and something. Their hearts and farts back.
Too farted.
By making online playable and enjoyable for like majority of the players again. And then they do this, and it's like, dude, what?
Yeah.
What?
Look, it's fun. Just come spend money.
It shows you. It should remind you of the fact that like Rockstar is not like a game dev company in the way that like we've understood game dev companies for 30 years, where there's like a few people making decisions. Like I'm 90% sure at this point, like Rockstar is just like a board of directors like making calls, and they have their accountant come in and they're like, how can we make the most money? And the accountant goes, gambling where nobody can win, but they have to buy in with real money.
That's right.
Like, of course an accountant is going to say that.
They have to pay us in gambling, but we never have to pay them back. Even when they win, it's in-game currency which they can't cash out.
Which, like, how screwed up
all of a sudden they get like an Employee of the Month plaque up on the wall.
Yeah. They're like, you're an accountant, sir. You only think about money and not people.
That's right.
You've done it.
That's right.
Sorry, any accountant that's listening, but that's how I feel about you.
So we have 30 minutes left. Do you want another beer? Because we are out.
I personally don't, but okay. I will be offended if that stops you from having
it. I am going to go grab another beer from the fridge.
You do that.
So, because we're out, we went a little bit ahead of schedule for the beer drinking tonight. I tried to time it so we would end perfectly.
I have a huge problem where I just like, there's a liquid in front of me. It's going in my mouth.
That's me too.
Doesn't matter what the liquid is.
Yep.
Yeah, take that where you will.
Do you want a water?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, I'll get you water. All right, I will be right back. Keep the conversation going. Talk about loot boxes and crap.
Oh, you want me to talk about loot boxes? You want me to talk about loot boxes? You know what I think is the gaming scourge of the world? Here's the thing. Loot boxes were... not even loot boxes, but cosmetic items. This is where it all started, right? That was sort of the start of something cool for free-to-play games. Obviously, we all know that it started with a little game, Team Fortress 2. Big deal, yes or no? I don't think so. But they had cosmetic items, and you could buy all this stuff and make your character look different than everybody else's, and that was fun. And Valve released something when I was in the midst of Dota 2. that said that they only expect the average player to spend $20 on cosmetics, and that was enough to keep Dota 2 free. Dota 2 obviously had millions of players. I don't know how much Team Fortress 2 had. I'm sure it's comparable in its heyday, maybe not. However, the natural... Whoa, what is this, man? You expect me to drink 1 liter
That's all I had in the fridge.
pure water?
Do you want like a cup of water? I can go get you a cup.
No, I'm going to drink this all before the show's over.
You said you had liquid in front of you. You drink it.
You're not wrong. All right, everybody. Buckle up for the climax of this show.
Buckle up.
Why do I always say that?
I don't know.
Actually, I'll tell you where it came from. It came from Steam. Because you could send gifts to people, and then you put a little message, and I always picked the buckle up one.
Hop Valley Alpha Daic IPA.
Oh, that's a great beer.
Yep.
Anyway, in the middle of talking about loot boxes, so maybe you can just...
I'll shut up.
I'm just kidding.
I'm just going to pour this delicious, delicious IPA.
I don't even remember where I was going, but loot boxes were the natural progression from cosmetic items because, like, it adds this, like, level of excitement where, like, maybe you could get this, like, ultra rare item, right? All of a sudden now we're, like, looking at it like Magic the Gathering cards, which is just basically another form of gambling. There are people I know that play Magic the Gathering.
Whoa. I'm deeply offended by that.
I hope you are. I meant to cut you deep, Jeff.
Ow.
There are people out there that buy Magic the Gathering cards and they do what they call magic finance. They don't even play the game. They're just getting cards to turn around and sell. And it's like a real thing that you can do if you buy boxes of cards at a time.
You're basically trading stocks with Magic cards.
Yeah, and you're tracking the market of it.
Yep.
I remember this is the thing, like even my brother, when a new set would come out and he would read all the new cards that weren't yet released, like he's expecting them, and he would look at one and he goes, "This is going to be the most valuable card." Mm-hmm. And you could go and you could pre-order cards at certain shops because they'd be like, "Oh, we'll just buy boxes and open them up and sell those cards."
Right.
So there would be cards that would sell for 25 cents a card that were like rares or whatever is after rare, mythic rare or whatever. I don't really remember how Magic works. I've played it for freaking 15 years, but so it's either rares or whatever's after rares, and they would be like, it's 25 cents a card. But then somebody who has experience with how the game works and how sort of past iterations of it have worked, they go, that card is going to be $5 per card. So they go and they pre-order as many as they will allow. And then they turn around and they sell this card for 25 that started at 25 cents per card. And when the market turns around, they sell it for $5 a card and they get this big investment. Mm-hmm. Magic finance. And this is kind of how like the marketplaces for games like Dota or Counter-Strike have worked, where
Team Fortress
2 is, like I said, where it all started.
Got hats.
It's all cosmetics. It doesn't mean anything, yet for some reason it actually has this real world value. And so now all of a sudden you get people selling keys online on this online marketplace, and they can get...
I'm familiar with selling keys.
Me too. Not familiar with buying, though.
I'm a distributor, not a user. There's a difference.
Yeah. So, anyway, then once you start adding in that random element, that's when I think that you start having a little bit of a problem, because it's fun for us adults. We know what we're in for. We make our own money. But when you really start getting into trouble, and I see this all the time on like the r/vac porn subreddit, which is like you get to see people get banned for hacking or whatever, where they have these epic inventories on their Steam accounts, like items that are valued at like $12,000 or whatever, and then they screw it up and they can't access it anymore. It's like, wah, wah. Sorry, bro.
I didn't know that sub existed, and I've been on Reddit for like 9 years.
Right. And the thing is...
amazing.
The thing is, I think adults, if you want to buy cosmetics, that's fine. I think the loot boxes are just what's deceiving. Because I remember a time when I was playing Dota 2 where you buy 10 loot boxes, and it's like, okay, mathematically, I'm guaranteed this like rare item that I want. And then you don't get it.
Right.
And it is a form of gambling in a way, because these
items
the more
we talk about loot boxes, the less time we have for Star Trek.
You're right. These items have real life value. That's all I was going to say. Welcome to the latest in craft computing news. A little thing dropped this week. Anyway, you might have all seen it.
Picard is back.
We're in the midst of San Diego Comic-Con, and they dropped a little trailer for a show called Picard. Y'all know Picard?
Which, by the way, wasn't the official title. Now it's the official title. It's just Star Trek Picard.
I don't even care. I'm not mad about it.
Not mad about it.
They could have called it Star Trek piss ant. And I'd still watch
Star Trek Ball Sweat. You'd still drink it because it's liquid in front of you. All right, so I gave us like 20 minutes for Trek talk. Yep.
Bless you.
Exactly.
Okay, you saw the trailer?
I saw
the trailer too.
only once.
Yeah, don't lie. Everybody knows you're lying.
A couple times.
Everybody knows you're lying.
A couple times. So, the trailer. Magic. We've seen the teaser trailer where it was Picard
Yeah.
in the vineyard, like you saw the hand going through the grapes and whatnot, and why did you leave Starfleet? And all of a sudden it's like just Picard, like just the headshot, like the zoom in into focus headshot. And it was a wonderfully powerful teaser, but that's all it was. It didn't give any story or anything away. This teaser that they released at Comic-Con gave so much little meaty details that if you're a Trek fan, oh my god.
Yeah.
There is so much meat on the bone here. So, first off, I think this is going to be a very Borg-centric Trek.
I don't know what makes you think that.
Well, let's see. We've got Jean-Luc Picard, former Borg. They introduced Jerry Ryan.
Only 2 episodes.
He also had the thing pop out of his face in First Contact in the Dream, which was a recurring nightmare of his. Oh, yeah. And he could hear the collective in his head a couple of different times in the future.
Yeah.
After that. So we'll call it like 5. Over under on 5.
A small portion of TNG arc. Yeah.
Small portion of TNG involved Locutus of Borg. So they show 7 of 9 on screen. Former Borg. Jerry Ryan is reprising her role as 7 of 9.
I'll stop.
Yeah,
I'll stop. We got a lot to get through.
Stop this now and be fanboy. That's all I need from you.
Okay.
Okay. The end of the trailer, we have Data, which, by the way, it is confirmed that Brent Spiner is not playing Lore and he is not playing B4. He is playing Data. Data the character.
You've all seen him.
Data, former Borg.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. There was also John... What's his name? I'm forgetting his name.
Delancey.
No. Well, no, that's Q.
I mean, I wish he would come back, though.
The trial never ends, right?
I know. That's why I hope he comes back.
There's another actor, John... I forget his name. He's actually got a French name. No, that's a different John. There's I forget his name. He played a character in season 4 of TNG where he was Hugh, the Borg.
Yeah.
And he was freed from the collective because they lost contact and they formed their own colony and they were stripping their parts off and whatnot. And he was tasked with leading that Borg colony. You can make your own decisions now, Jean-Luc told him. You don't have to be...
That's not how I remember it.
That's kind of how it went. That's the boiler...
They found him in an accident.
Right.
And then they said, you could make your own decisions. And he said, I want to go home.
Right. I want to go back to the collective.
So they sent him home.
They did, but did he make it? We don't know.
Didn't they just beam him back onto the Borg cube?
No, they left him on the planet. I thought they left him on the planet. They said, you can go home, you can make your own decisions, but that's your right as an individual, is you can make your own decisions. And they
thought that idea would destroy the Borg.
Right.
Which it might have.
But we have John, what's his name, which is Hugh. Former Borg. We have 4 former Borgs in the trailer. Not only that, we have
a Borg cube.
We have a Borg cube. We have the Romulans experimenting with what looks like Borg parts.
Yeah, I saw that.
Because they have a Romulan strapped to a table with like these futuristic things, but he's got like a Borg eye.
And like the interface over him and everything. Like,
right.
That's so dope.
So what we know about the timeline is this takes place in the Prime timeline. The Prime timeline is the pre-2009, but it does follow the 2009 Star Trek arc. The reason Spock came back in time in that episode was Romulus blew up because of a supernova.
Yeah.
Romulus is dead. And that sends ripples throughout the alpha and beta quadrants, or gamma. Yeah, alpha, gamma, delta, whatever. Sends ripples throughout the quadrants. Spock came back to try to prevent it, and in coming back, Vulcan is destroyed instead because he meets Nero, and we all know how that goes.
It's a great movie.
But we're following on the original timeline that Romulus was destroyed by a supernova.
Yes.
And the Vulcans knew about it in advance and didn't act in enough time, and the Romulans are pissed.
Yeah.
There's this thing where Picard is highly respected among the Romulans.
That was in the teaser.
Because he worked at trying to save them. And the couple of Romulans that were in there say, be the captain we remember from the Romulans.
Yeah.
And be the Jean-Luc Picard that we know.
Yes.
And so he is very highly respected among the Romulans, maybe not so much with Federation and the Vulcans. Now, if the Romulans are testing Borg technology on themselves to try to
better themselves
and whatnot,
reacquire their position,
that's a problem. There was a facility that was shown that was under lock and key, that was under armed guard.
Yeah.
Where the girl who's seeking out Picard's help says, I feel that I'm safe with you. I feel like I'm supposed to be with you. She was in that facility under armed guard. That armed guard had a sign under it that said this facility has had no assimilations in 5,500 days.
Yes! What a great little Easter egg
That's a Borg concentration camp.
Yeah.
Okay? So this is going to be very, very, very Borg-centric. I do hope the writers of Picard remember that the trial never ends. That's one thing I do hope they bring back, is Q was very, very central to the plot of TNG. There needs to be a couple of Q episodes. There needs to be a couple of things. But from what I hear, this is going to be more in the ill of Breaking Bad and Game of Thrones, in that it's going to be like 10 episode seasons, very episodic, much longer, much more drawn out, really mini movies instead of a TV series like TNG, which you start at one point, you end at another point, and you're at the same place that you left.
Right.
Not like DS9, where DS9 evolved throughout. TNG was really the same story. The characters got bigger, but the story itself was,
the best part about TNG...
You started in the same place you ended.
Yeah, and the best part about TNG is you just get to see all the characters that you love and all of these different scenarios and see how they... Yeah.
How would I react to this scenario? Okay, how about scenario B? Okay, how about scenario C?
Yeah.
Whereas DS9, and really Babylon 5 kind of started this. I've given them props before. I'll give them props again. They really started the progression and the mini-series from like the 5-episode thing into the 70-episode thing.
Yeah.
And that's really where modern television kind of evolved from. A la 24 and then into more longer like Breaking Bad and Game of Thrones and things like that. The longer episodic movies,
was
rather than Lost was another one. Yeah. This is supposed to be in the ilk of Breaking Bad and Lost and things like that, where it's 10 episode seasons, but they're going to be longer episodes and much more theatrical.
Tied in.
Right.
Yeah. Absolutely. That was it's all so exciting. The trailer, I don't know about you, man, it was so epic in my mind, and just you get this pumping music behind it. I was like tearing up every time something would happen. I was like, "This is amazing! This is amazing!"
Yeah.
But it's the same thing with the teaser, which was expertly done, and that's where you get that Romulan evacuation bit in mind, where they say, "You are responsible for the largest evacuation in Federation history."
Yep.
I don't remember anything else from the teaser, but they say
You
that
got the Romulans off the planet.
Yeah. And that was the big speculation when the teaser came out. It's like, what is this about? Oh, it's about Romulus. Absolutely about Romulus. People were not wrong.
Right.
Because now you've got like the only characters that aren't human or Borg in this trailer are Romulans. Which is like so exciting.
And one of the main points of TNG was as much as they were enemies with the Borg and with the Breen and with a couple other characters, it was the Romulans who time and time again were the protagonists to TNG.
It was like Romulans and like Cardassians.
Cardassians showed up a couple times, but they were more like little prickly sides.
They had the storyline that was a lot more focused on like stopping a war in general.
Right.
It was a lot more like because like what it's some of the best episodes in my opinion were like the Cardassian ones where obviously you have like there are 4 lights episode which is great.
Yep. The Picard torture episode.
That's a 2 back-to-back episodes. I can't remember what they're called. But then you also have one of my favorite ones where the captain of Miles O'Brien's old ship like has kind of lost it, right? Isn't that a Cardassian episode?
Yeah.
Did I make this up? And he's like going off to like make them pay.
Yeah.
And right? Is that the same episode? There's one where
I rewatched Ensign Ro Laren last night. I rewatched Ensign Ro last night.
that's another great episode.
Another great episode because it puts the Bajoran Cardassian conflict 5 years before it happened on DS9, or 2 or 3 years, because that was season 5, which was a couple years predating DS9, and really getting into the nitty gritty of what the occupation really was.
Yeah.
And I thought they captured it beautifully, where they laid the groundwork for what the occupation of Bajor really was.
Yeah.
And it was, like I said, with TNG, you start in one place and you end in the exact same place on the episode. But that episode did lay the groundwork for what they later expanded on inside of DS9.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it was the Cardassians as the protagonists, and the Cardassians as staging an attack by Bajor on a Federation colony and claiming that Bajor was the ones responsible, when Bajor was just, a lot of their people were on the run and whatnot, and the big turning point was Picard was supposed to escort this Bajoran ambassador to some colony to surrender, or to enter talks of peace or something like that, and he was supposed to believe that this was the guy who destroyed a Federation colony. And he goes, they were limited to half impulse while we were escorting them. They certainly couldn't have made it to another star system, let alone blown up the damn thing.
Yeah.
And so that was the crux of that Ensign Ro episode. And I thought it was a phenomenal episode.
Ensign Ro is one of the best episodes.
Yes.
There's a bunch. That whole season is so good.
Season 5 is amazing.
Season 4 and Season 5 back to back is just like not. It's like when you think Golden Age Star Trek TNG.
It's almost as good as seasons 4 through 6 on DS9.
Yeah, whatever. I'm talking about DS9 right now. Okay, talking about
It's
TNG.
almost as good.
Because Picard is back. Okay, looking at the trailer, what was your favorite part of the trailer? Guys, if you had a favorite part, chime in below because I'm interested in this. Because like
Yes.
because I was just blown away, like piece by piece. And I think to me, the most surprising thing was the Jerry Ryan
7 of 9
reveal.
7 of 9 was the most surprising.
And she had the most epic one too. She's like, "What are you doing out here, Picard?"
What the hell are you doing?
Yes.
Which told me 2 really big things. Number 1, 7 of 9 is becoming more human every day.
Yeah.
And it's been 20 years. And so all of a sudden we went from, Picard, why are you here?
Yeah.
To, what the hell are you doing here?
Yeah.
I mean, it's such a character change,
it's
and
so
I cannot
good.
wait to see what they do with that character. Number 2, obviously Data. Obviously Brent Spiner reprising the role.
What'd you think about that? The
Was
way
goosebumpy.
he looked and like all that, like.
This is going to be, I think, Data inside of B4. He is playing Data. Because remember, if you watched Nemesis...
Yeah. Which
that-
was my exposure to TNG.
God, you're so young. That Data was vaporized in Nemesis. His body doesn't exist anymore.
Except, what's the body that Picard pulls out?
That's B4. That is the prototype by Dr. Soong in creating Data or lore and then later Data. B4 is the prototype one.
Gotcha.
So his central core isn't as complex.
His positronic
Positronic net. Positronic net is not as complex. So they had B4 the prototype in a couple episodes.
What a dumb name. It was before.
My name is Data.
Yeah, you're not.
Speaking of dumb names.
That's my favorite line in the whole series.
What's funny is his name was actually supposed to be Data. And Patrick Stewart came on the set, and his first line to Data was Data. And they went, oh, I guess that's his name now. Okay, cool.
What? No.
You haven't heard that?
No.
Yeah, it was supposed to be pronounced Data.
What?
Yeah.
How?
Data.
How do you know that?
It was an interview many years ago.
Oh, man. Patrick Stewart just killing it all day.
It was supposed to be data, because data was the official pronunciation of data. Well, he came in and he said data. And so all of a sudden it's data.
Could you imagine?
Yeah.
What a different world that would be. There was a Dragon Break somewhere for all you Morrowind fans. There was a Dragon Break in our timeline, and now we got data instead of data. Mm-hmm. That is mind-boggling.
I believe the Wikipedia article for the term data actually references to Patrick Stewart changing the English language because of it. Now both nomenclatures were known. Data was an appropriate pronunciation, but it wasn't a popular one until Data, the Star Trek character, became of fame. And it was only because of Patrick Stewart's pronunciation of that data became like a normally accepted
There's
term.
no way that's true.
I'm pretty sure that's true.
That's crazy. I hope it is.
I'm pretty sure I read that somewhere.
That just seems
I'm not
wild.
pulling that out of my ass, I guarantee that.
That's crazy. I hope that's true. Yeah, I was like so skeeved out by like how smooth his skin looked and everything. He's like,
His eyes were different?
I do not want this game to end either, Captain.
I can see that, Captain.
I can see that. Yeah, whatever he said.
Yeah.
Sorry. I'm like putting Captain Picard's quote in with Data's quote.
I just don't want the game to end. I can see that, Captain.
What game are they playing?
Boy, that looked like Hold'em.
Oh, what if it was?
Because remember, Picard never joined them for poker.
Yeah, you're right.
Although knowing them, it's like rummy or something.
And I'm hearing, and my favorite thing is like every time I'm on Twitter, I see like, oh, so and so is coming back for like a spot in Picard. So and so is coming back. Like,
by the way,
everybody's coming back.
Riker and Troy are both reprising their roles, which we knew Riker was directing 2 of the episodes. So the way they're doing the episodes is they're doing in 2 episode blocks, and one director is responsible for episodes 1 and 2.
Yeah.
Another is responsible for 3 and 4. Jonathan Frakes is directing episodes 3 and 4. So
He's a good director. He directed some of the best of TNG.
many Star Trek episode fames. He directed a lot of TNG. He directed a lot of DS9 and a lot of Voyager.
Yeah.
And a lot of Discovery. And Enterprise. He's one of the more...
He is Star Trek.
He's one of the more experienced directors when it comes to Star Trek episodes.
Dude, that is nuts. Yeah, I'm so stoked for everything we're seeing, and some of these like really intricate action scenes that you're seeing in the trailer with fighting scenes and people getting beamed out.
Becky Poo shared a link. How Patrick Stewart changed the way we say data. Thanks to Star Trek, a common word today isn't what it used to be.
All right.
Posted December 22nd, 2016. There was an interview with Patrick Stewart about the original pronunciation of data, which was originally data. And when they came on set, everyone was saying, "Oh, okay, here's the android. His name is Data." But no one told Patrick Stewart, and Patrick Stewart didn't tell them what he thought. And so day 1 of filming, Data, come over here. And he responded. He walked over, and I guess it's Data now. Okay, there we go. And they printed the episode. And that became a common nomenclature for how we say data.
That's crazy.
It was data before.
That's crazy. Because
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure data has always been my preferred saying of that word.
Right, but you're in your late 20s.
Yeah.
Star Trek came out in 1987.
Yeah, I know. It came out before I was born.
Yeah. So
Do with that what you will,
Right.
listener. Frakes directed First Contact, the best of the TNG movies.
the best of the TNG movies. Yes,
So
exactly.
good.
By the way, thank you, Becky, for posting that link.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. I wasn't in disbelief that was I was just like shocked. I guess I was shocked. That's the right word.
No, like I said, I knew I had heard that story somewhere before.
Just awesome. You have all these action scenes in there with people getting beamed out, and you have Picard. I feel like Patrick Stewart's acting chops have just gotten more and more grave and more epic, like as he gets older. You definitely like one of the things that's like really tough for me in this one is like you watch him in Logan.
Mild shock.
Yeah. You watch him in Logan, and I remember
God,
thinking,
he was
like,
good in Logan.
dude, I remember thinking that was like Oscar worthy all the way through.
Yes.
And you were like, he hasn't aged that much. you watch him in this trailer, you're like, he's aged a lot.
Right. You have these side-by-sides where it's like, oh my god, Patrick Stewart is ageless, kind of like Keanu Reeves, or who was the one before? Nicolas Cage.
Right.
Was another one. You watched side-by-side with this, and I watched the Rolaren episode last night. Oh my god, he is certainly 20 years older. If not 30.
Yeah, easily.
Like, the last 3 years haven't been kind to Patrick Stewart.
No.
I love Patrick Stewart.
And that's the thing, I'm even between Logan and now.
Yeah.
Like, I remember, like, watching Logan, I remember thinking, like, he's not that old. But seeing this, I'm like, he's aged.
He's 79.
Yeah, it's hard. But I'm so glad that he's doing this. I'm so glad he's on board. Yeah. What the best Star Trek character to exist, in my opinion, Jean-Luc Picard. I don't even give it. Fight me in the comments if you disagree.
Even I cannot disagree that. TNG is not my favorite Star Trek, but Captain Picard is my favorite captain.
He is the captain.
I don't know. We haven't seen Captain Worf or Captain Geordi yet. Both are canon.
They'd be shit. They would be the worst captains. No, they wouldn't be the worst. They wouldn't be the worst.
Do you remember Captain Geordi? Captain Geordi's made an appearance.
Has he?
In the future, 20 years in the future.
Really?
Yes, he has. In Voyager.
Oh yeah, you know, I've seen that.
In which Captain Geordi was trying to hunt down Harry, Kim, and Chakotay from going back in time or sending the instructions to Voyager back in time.
Yeah.
Because they stole a shuttlecraft because they were responsible for Voyager crashing on the planet in the Delta Quadrant.
Yeah.
Captain Geordi is canon. I want to see Captain Geordi.
I'm down for that. Captain Geordi would be awesome. Yeah. Maybe that's what we get in this, too. I'd be down for either of those.
Oh, I hope.
I'd be down to see any of the TNG officers.
I want them to go multifaceted. Now here's the trap they can fall into. I don't want this to just be fan service and call back to, what's B'Elanna Torres doing these days?
Yeah, boring.
There are a couple characters that would make sense to insert. Tuvok would be a great one because he's Vulcan. He's a science officer. He hasn't aged all that much. He would be a great one to insert as a liaison, as an ambassador, as someone else who would work well with the Vulcans and possibly the Romulans.
Yeah.
But don't throw Harry Kim at me. Don't throw Tom Paris at me. Don't throw some of these other characters at me.
Would you take a Q resurgence?
I would take a Q resurgence.
I would too, yeah.
Because he was so central to the plot of TNG.
And he's so
there's only a couple of overarching plots of TNG, and Q is absolutely one of them. You started with the trial at Farpoint, and you ended with the trial at the Singularity.
Yeah.
So Q absolutely needs to make an appearance. As far as the rest of the characters go from TNG, I was actually a little disappointed to see Troy. I did want to see Riker as Captain of the Titan. Yeah. So I want to see. I do want to see a Captain Geordi, and I'm glad Data is back. The rest of the characters I could give hell all about.
Maybe like cameos, like a Miles O'Brien. I'd take a cameo.
Miles O'Brien is the chief engineer aboard DS9.
Yeah.
Like, where are you going to insert him at? He's not going to take a transporter position on Picard's ship just because it's Picard.
No. But like you might get something.
First Officer O'Brien.
Yeah.
Because this is 20 years in the future.
Yeah, or maybe he's retired from Starfleet.
Yeah.
And you just get a cameo. I'm saying like a cameo. I'm not saying like a freaking word roll. I'm saying like maybe Miles O'Brien walks past the camera and you're like, this world is populated with people that I know and love.
Yes and no, but Starfleet is so vast and the universe is so vast. I don't want this to just be a cameo fest.
You shut your mouth. Give me the cameos. I'll take a Keiko cameo.
I'm even a little bit opposed to like an Ambassador Jane or an Admiral Janeway cameo.
Dude, okay, yeah.
Now, 7 of 9 is in this, and I hope she's a recurring character because I think that's going to be very strong for the show. I wouldn't mind a Chakotay cameo because it would fit with the timeline or with the plot of this.
Yeah.
Because remember, them and Chakotay and 7 of 9 were bumping uglies at the end of Voyager.
Yeah.
So I would not mind a Chakotay cameo. I wouldn't mind a Tuvok. I wouldn't mind a Cisco. I wouldn't mind an O'Brien. I think I would mind just about everything else. Maybe in Esri Dax, because Esri Dax is actually a captain in a lot of the online games.
Yeah.
So bring back Dax. And Picard and Dax don't know each other, but that's not important.
Nuke Censorship brings up a fun one. What about Wesley Crusher?
That has been talked about so much. Will Wheaton, I believe, has said he does not want to reprise the role of Wesley Crusher.
Oh, shut up, Will.
Not because he's not in favor of it, but he feels it would be too much fan service.
Too much fan service?
Now here's
we're in the age of Avengers Endgame.
Well, here's the deal.
There's no such thing.
If you remember, Wesley Crusher made an appearance in Nemesis, in which he had left Starfleet.
Yeah,
he was doing his own thing. Now, take this two ways. Take this real life Will Wheaton. You were a child actor who was put onto a primetime television show at age 14.
Sure.
Who was on the cover of Teen Magazine, who did all this other stuff. You're 45 years old now.
Yeah.
You're well past your whatever. Your life is going pretty well, doing whatever you're doing. Tabletop games on YouTube and so
whatever,
on and so forth.
Sure.
Do I really need this? I could live or die without it. Whatever. Put this into the role of Wesley Crusher, in which Wesley Crusher's role was established as already having left Starfleet 20 years ago.
Yeah,
what role are you going to play in the canon?
One of the fondest memories of Captain Picard.
Now, you were a fine helmsman. I'll give you that. You were a good con officer. But what is Wesley Crusher going to bring to this that any other helm officer is not?
I'm not saying bring him back as a helm officer.
It's certainly not going to be Captain Will Wheaton because you left Starfleet.
I don't even need him as a captain.
What role do you want him to play? And I think that's Will Wheaton's point.
What
role would he play?
We know that Wesley Crusher is he was a rising young star.
Child prodigy.
He left Starfleet. Think of a few things that you could do in the Star Trek universe, having half a Starfleet education and all of this knowledge and experience and practical experience on board this flagship that you could do in that universe. You could do anything you wanted to that wasn't in Starfleet. Starfleet is one fraction of the world of Star Trek. We could get a Will Wheaton.
So, who wants to see a Captain Harry Kim? No! Bad!
Stop it.
The D, I'm going to ban you. If I was closer to the mouse, I would ban you right now. I love Harry Kim. I love his role. I love B'Elanna Torres. I love a lot of the Voyager characters.
Sure.
My problem with Voyager is the characters didn't grow the way they should have. They were the same characters after 7 years that they were when they started.
Yeah.
Minus the marriage of B'Elanna Torres and Tom Paris and having a baby. We didn't get the Tom Paris reunification with his father. We didn't get, Janeway reunited with her husband. We didn't get B'Elanna Torres being accepted by her half Klingon and full human parents.
Sure.
We didn't get Chakotay. We got Chakotay and 7 of 9 Bumpin' Uglies, but we didn't get closure in their stories either.
No.
We didn't get anything with any of the senior staff. The Doctor grew the most, and he's a goddamn hologram.
Yeah.
So, I love Voyager. I love that, but...
Yeah, it's got its things.
But it was so weak in the character development standpoint.
Yeah.
Whereas TNG, as weak as the overall overarching plot line was...
The characters are why you watch.
The characters are why you watch. Troy grew so much. Riker grew so much. Geordi grew so much. Data grew as a human. Picard grew so much as a captain. There was so much intrigue with the characters that you kept watching, and the characters themselves grew.
Yeah.
With DS9, it was just way better.
Yeah. Sure,
So-
fair enough. I'll give you that.
Right.
But also, okay.
Think of Kira when we started versus Kira when we ended. Think of Bashir when we started versus
you're,
Bashir when we
okay,
ended.
you're not wrong.
So,
Yeah,
that's why I stand by that point. But we're getting into that.
into the sticks.
Janeway's husband moved on. Yes, he did. That's right. 7 years later, Janeway's husband had remarried. That was canon.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because 4 years later, he found someone new to bump uglies with. I don't know why I keep saying bump uglies.
It's a good phrase.
It's a good
turn of
it's
phrase.
it's a good phrase to stay appropriate.
Yeah,
So, I
true.
guess. Firefly remake. I would love to see what's his name, the guy from Knight's Tale. You know who I'm talking about.
Oh.
The blonde kid.
Yeah.
Yeah. Never remember his name. I'd love to see him in
But
the Star
yeah,
Trek universe.
he's the voice guy.
Yeah.
Who's in Star Wars now.
Right.
And,
Yeah, he did...
Alan Tudyk.
Tudyk, thank you.
Yeah.
I'd love to see Alan Tudyk in a Star Wars role. Or a Star Trek role.
Yeah, Star Trek.
Love to see him
That's
in
like
Star
the
Trek
one sci-fi series that's like blown up that he has.
It's like the one that he hasn't done.
Yeah.
Right? He was in Knight's Tale. He was in Firefly. He's been in Star Wars as
K2.
K2SO.
Yeah, K2.
Yep.
Yeah, he was really good in that. Really good.
Do you want to know the probability of us surviving? Because it's not high.
Yeah, he had a good.
Or the probability of us blowing up. It's high.
He was one of the best parts of that movie.
Yes.
Well, what do you think, Jeff? We're at about 10:12 p.m.
I think that's a great place to end it. So,
We could talk. The unfortunate part is we could talk Star Trek forever. On our spin-off show, Craft Computrek, we do only Star Trek news.
There may be an avenue for a second channel on this.
We're working on it. We're working on it.
To explore strange new worlds. To seek out new life. I'm gonna stop. Okay.
I'm not gonna do it.
I'm gonna stop.
I'm not gonna do
I'm
it.
gonna stop. Because I'm not Patrick Stewart.
You could be if you tried.
It could be. No, I don't have the accent. The accent is what made that line. Kirk's was fine.
Yeah.
Patrick Stewart defined it.
I agree. I do agree with that.
Yeah.
Um,
And that's all you need to know in the captain debate for who's better.
Y'all heard it here first.
This has been Talking Heads, episode 90. I think it's a great place to end it. Your once weekly live show for the latest in beer and tech news. I think last week I just said beer news, which is kind of weird. I rewatched the intro to that video and went, oh wow, I really just said beer news. It's beer and tech, although it's
Sometimes just beer.
sometimes just beer.
Sometimes just Trek.
That's right. Anyway, thank you all so much for watching this episode. Hope you enjoyed it. Leave a comment down below. Let me know what character you want to see in the new Star Trek Picard series and which ones you don't, because that's going to be a pretty highly debated topic for some time to come, especially if they get more than one season. At the moment, there's 10 episodes that have been filmed. They will be airing in early 2020, as far as I know. God, I can't wait.
Yeah, I'm so stoked. This might give me the CBS All Access pass.
This probably will.
Yeah.
I will probably subscribe to CBS All Access. Discovery, not going to do it for me. Not moving the needle.
Well, I'll watch them now that I have CBS All Access for Picard.
Right. Now that I've got it, I might as well just put those on while I'm falling asleep at night.
Knock them out, yeah.
Yep. Anyway, thank you so much for watching this episode and every episode of Craft Computing. New videos are coming very soon as I finally get oriented in the new space that we're living in right now that my office is torn apart and actually for sale. So look it up on Zillow. Anyway, see you guys same time next week, 8 o'clock every Wednesday. And see you later.
Cheers.